Hey guys, what's going on? Thank you so much for all the support lately. Almost at 100 subscribers. That's pretty crazy. It'll be the first time that I ever hit that. Just a few things I want to talk about. Number one, most of these are just rumors right now. Those are just a ton of rumors. The only two concrete things that have happened so far in the trade deadline, as I'm recording this at 7:52, is Magic Johnson is the new president basketball of operations of the LA Lakers, and Boogie Cousins is a Pelican. I'll probably release the news conference if I can find it on my channel. It won't be monetized or anything, so you guys can watch that in full. And yeah, guys, most of the other ones are just rumors, so I'm basically discussing those rumors if I think they'll go through, and I ask you guys. So if you're still interested in watching this video, please go ahead and support. Make sure to share, like, do all those good stuff. And yeah, guys, I'll see you in the video. Hey guys, and welcome back to the SC Reports podcast. Good to talk to you guys. Long time since I've done a podcast, so it's good to be back doing long podcasts. So without further ado, you know what we're talking about. It is the trade deadline. All of the news from around the NBA and all the stuff that has happened up to date. Now, most of these are rumors, but we will talk about obviously the deals that are in place right now. So the only one that has went through right now is, well, everybody knows, DeMarcus Cousins going to the Pelicans. Now, I talked about that in a recent video, so we won't go too in depth with that. Do I think they're going to be a playoff team? Yes. Do they still need some shooters to surround them? They're a great team now with two bigs that if they can coexist down there, no team can stop them down low. Nobody will be able to stop them. But I do think that they need some shooters, so when they get double teamed, they can throw it out. Somebody hits a three, and it's pretty much impossible. Think about Dwight Howard back in Orlando, but Dwight Howard with another good big at the time. So that's what I think about that. So they're going to probably make the playoffs. They're probably going to face Golden State in the first round, and it's going to be a good matchup, but they do need to make some more moves. And the Kings. We're going to also talk about the Kings right now. They've also made Darren Collison, Ben Malcolmore, and I believe Omari Caspi, and the two picks that they acquired available. They're trying to clean house. They're trying to start over through the draft. So they're trying to get rid of pieces that might demand money. And honestly, I think it's the right thing to do. Look, DeMarcus, I'm happy that he's out of that situation. I've said it many times. The Kings is probably the most dysfunctional team in NBA history. Or at least in the recent memory. So I think it was the right thing to do. Darren Collison, I could see him being a good backup point guard somewhere. Not sure where. We'll see what happens there when some news comes up there. So where do you guys think, those players might land? And moving on, Carmelo Anthony said that he will not waive his no trade clause at the deadline. So as much as we know right now, Carmelo will make it past the deadline with the Knicks. And again, what can you say? Carmelo, he's just one of those players. Like he's very, very passionate about New York, but some people say, well, he has his money. All he has to do is put up some buckets. I think Carmelo wants to win, but I think he wants to win with New York. Or if he wins, he doesn't want to go to like a super team. I think Boston is the right fit. He said he would waive his no trade clause for Boston. So we'll see what happens in the upcoming days. Also, the Boston Celtics have remained in contact with Philadelphia over Jahlil Okafor. Now, do I think that deal's going to get done? Well, probably not. I think that Boston would be more interested in acquiring a guy like Andre Drummond if they were to go big, because they have the pieces to do that. They have the picks to pull off a trade like that. I think that's what Boston needs. I think Boston either needs a Paul George who the Boston Celtics have kept in contact with, or with a Andre Drummond. Excuse my mess up there. Jimmy Butler's a good player, but I think Boston needs either a high caliber scorer or a big that you can just rely on in terms of rebound, defense, and to kind of just have to suffer with his free throw shooting. So I think Andre Drummond or Paul George, that's the only way Boston will give up those picks in this upcoming draft. Now, most of you guys know Terrence Jones. He was with the Pelicans, and he has asked the Pelicans to trade him away before the deadline over mutual discussion. Now, you guys know DeMarcus Cousins is coming over. Him and Anthony Davis can go 35 minutes, 40 minutes. There's going to be no time for Terrence Jones down there. So he wants out of New Orleans, and rightfully so. He's shown flashes before of maybe, he's got something here. So it'll be interesting to see if he goes to a lesser team to see what his numbers would be. And somebody that has garnered a lot of attention, Wilson Chandler. Now, so as far as I know right now, all I can find is Houston, Oklahoma City, the Clippers, and I know the Raptors were interested, but they pulled the trigger on Serge Ibaka. I'm not sure if they're still going to go after Wilson Chandler or Danilo Gallinari. But I know for sure Houston, Oklahoma City, and the Clippers are all interested in Wilson Chandler. And he is a good prospect. He can score, he can rebound. I think if he goes to Oklahoma City, it'd be a great fit. There is another scorer there. It would take a lot of pressure off of Victor Oladipo to not be the super scorer that we need him to be right now in Oklahoma City. He would be able to just focus on scoring and contributing. Wilson Chandler will go out there and score. He'll go out there and rebound, defend. I think that's what Russell Westbrook wants. He needs a small forward. Obviously, nowhere near Kevin Durant's caliber, but very, very solid small forward for the time being. So I think that would be a great move for Oklahoma City. It would be a good fit also for the Clippers. The Clippers do need a small forward or another scorer to help them over the hump. I don't think there's a solid wing scorer on that team that can help them when they get to a team like Golden State, where Blake Griffin's cold and he can't really, he's at the mercy of Chris Paul when he gets him the ball, or if Chris Paul's hot or cold. There's nobody else that can bring up the ball and say, well, I'm going to go out there and score. Wilson Chandler can do that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. So another thing here is Minnesota has reached out to New York to talk about a possible trade discussion for point guard Derrick Rose. Most of you guys know Tom Thibodeau, Derrick Rose. Those guys love one another. And it's going to be interesting to see. I think that Tom Thibodeau can bring back, not vintage Derrick Rose, but I think, Derrick Rose is more comfortable with Tom Thibodeau. And it would be one of those moves where you're going to stun the growth of Ricky Rubio, or maybe he would be involved in the trade going to New York. But it's weird because also I believe they drafted Chris Dunn. So what kind of message are you sending to your rookie? The future prospect that's supposed to carry your team. So that's kind of my thoughts. But at the same time, Minnesota wants to go out there. They want to get a star. They want to get more attention on them. I think that Derrick Rose is that right choice. He's going to demand a lot of money in free agency. I don't know if he deserves it necessarily, but we'll see what happens when the time comes and if Derrick Rose actually goes to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, Blake Griffin has also been in discussions with trade possibilities, and I don't know if he is going to leave. Personally, I don't think he's going to leave. But the Boston Celtics have talked with him, and that's kind of been the narrative. Boston has been talking to these general managers about giving them their superstars because they have all the picks. They have great asset players that will help out any team. So Boston's really at the forefront and really can, jump into the playoff or contending picture with just one trade for one of these players. So other than that, that's pretty much been it. Also, forgot to almost left this one out. Magic Johnson has already, and that's something that I have to talk about. But let's talk about this first. Lou Williams and the Jazz. So the Jazz have contacted the LA Lakers about possibly trading away Lou Williams, and also the Charlotte Hornets have also contacted about Lou Williams. Now, most of you guys don't know, so really quickly, I actually did a video on it, so go watch that for more details. Magic Johnson is now the president of basketball operations for the LA Lakers. So he's already handling business, already trying to wheel and deal these players. So it's going to be interesting to see where Lou Williams lands. I think that the Jazz could use him more. They need a scorer off the bench. Lou Williams will give them some scoring. And I've told you, the Jazz was the dark horse in my opinion. They were a really good team. They add Lou Williams. They just added another solid scorer. They just get a lot harder to beat. So, if you're talking about the Pacers have made their 2017 first round pick available in an attempt to surround Paul George with a better supporting cast. Now, I don't know how good that pick's gonna be personally. I just don't see, if they're already trying to get to the playoffs, I really just don't see how that's going to work out for them. They're sixth in the Eastern Conference, so I mean, it's not going to be a lottery pick, right? So how valuable is that first pick going to be? So we're going to have to see what happens there. I don't know how valuable it's going to be. I don't know what team is going to take that, knowing that their pick's going to be probably 14th, 15th to, the end of the draft, depending on where they land. So, in Chicago Bulls news, the Bulls have made everybody available except for Jimmy Butler. Now, as I told you earlier, Boston has inquired about Jimmy Butler, but are unwilling to give up their top picks, their Brooklyn pick and their other pick, for Jimmy Butler. So Jimmy Butler, other than Boston, no chance that he's leaving. You heard that, only Jimmy Butler. So that means Dwayne Wade is on the market. That's basically what they're saying. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens before Thursday's deadline. Now, Brook Lopez, his stock has kind of fallen, mostly because now Pelicans got what they wanted. They got a bona fide big man in DeMarcus Cousins. So now the Nets are just asking for a first and second round pick for Brook Lopez, trying to get rid of that money that they owe him. And I'm not sure where he can go. Some teams do need a center. I think Boston could use a very solid center, like I said. But I don't know if Brook Lopez is the answer. I think Boston can command more and get a guy like Andre Drummond. So we'll see where Brook Lopez goes. And I guess I'll ask you guys that. Where do you think Brook Lopez will end up? Let me know in the comment section below. So that is pretty much all the news. You have Andre Drummond, like I talked about. They said that he will be available and they're not going to discourage trade requests for Andre Drummond. And that's pretty much it. So they updated that at 3 p.m. They, leak sources said that, like, hey, we're gonna listen to what you have to say if you want Andre Drummond. So, guys, I'm serious when I say this. That's it. Interesting stuff. Most of these are rumors. Like I said, DeMarcus Cousins has been the only surefire person to get traded so far. It's gonna be very interesting to see his press conference. We've already seen him cry. I'd probably put that at the beginning of the video, or I'm gonna just put it in right here, depending on editing time and so on and so forth. But very interesting stuff, to say the least. Do I think Blake Griffin is gonna get traded? No. Brook Lopez is definitely gonna get traded. It's gonna be interesting to see where he goes. Paul George, Boston, they're always trying to make so much noise, but then they end up doing nothing all the time. So at this point, I'm like, Boston's just bluffing again. They're just trying to make some headlines. So I don't think they're gonna make a move. If they were to make a move, I think they would only move in on Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, or Andre Drummond. Those are the only 3 people. And I think Paul George might be the better move. But we'll see what happens. I just don't see them making a big splash because they've always trolled. So guys, that is my video for now. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe for more. I will bring you another NBA trade deadline podcast tomorrow. I'll do a few short ones with the news at the top of the day, and then I'll drop another one at 8 o'clock, kind of circling around, giving you all of it at the night. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like, share, and I will see you next time.